Good afternoon. My name is Mac Poor, and I'm with San Diego Mini Cooper or Cooper Garage. I'm going to be giving you a little bit of a class on oil and oil changes for Mini Cooper today. Hello everyone. They called me in and they asked me to make this video regarding oil changes because Mini Cooper has obviously tons of oil change issues. We're going to start off with what kind of oil, what type of oil, and what does oil actually mean for the car. So let's start off with the products that we have lined up over here. If you can zoom in a little bit. This is Liquid Moly 540. We got Mobil One 040. We got Liquid Moly 1060. We got Liquid Moly 1040. We got Castor Oil Synthetic 550. And we got, of course, the Mobil 530, which is the most commonly used oil. Here we have the high performance synthetic BMW original oil. And we have some samples of the oil filters. This is the brand new model that just came out in 2014, 15, end of 14 and 15 models, the BMW engine. And these are our older style engines. And here's a non-S and an S type. What we're going to discuss is, number one, what kind of oil actually goes into the Mini Cooper. What the factory recommends is a 530 castor oil synthetic oil. In reality, castor oil synthetic 530 is not a long life oil. A long life oil is an oil that could withstand miles over 6 to 12,000 miles. Unfortunately, the dealer and other people recommend to change the oil every 15,000 miles, which is not really a good thing to do. Otherwise, you'll end up with serious engine failure or engine damage. Now, what I'm going to recommend is what I believe and I think is the best way to maintain the oil changes in your Mini Cooper, regardless of its age or if it's a new one or an older one. We're going to start off with what type of oil and how long the oil will last and how often it should be changed. We're going to start with what type of oil. First of all, we have to know what oils and what the weights stand for. For example, when you look at 040, the 0 is its freezing point and 40 is its boiling point. So it doesn't really matter. As long as it is a minimum of 530, it doesn't really matter. So if you go to a 040, you're actually upgrading the quality of the oil or the viscous of the oil, and therefore paying more money for the oil, which you could do, and it's recommended. So always look for the number at the beginning. The lower this number, the higher that number, the more valuable and the better the oil product is. Now we're going to go into brands. Brands are basically, let's start with the word synthetic. Synthetic in reality just means fake. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean it's good. So don't walk up to your oil change local place and the guy says, I'm going to put synthetic oil in the car and get excited, because guess what? That doesn't mean anything. The word synthetic means fake. So you're going to get fake oil, and that's all it means. It could be lemonade synthetic oil, which we call the places where they have the quickie oil changes and the fast oil changes. They use recycled oil, and it's synthetic, but it's not the right stuff. Always remember, go with the name brand and not just the word synthetic. Name brands: Castor Oil, Mobil One, Liquid Moly. These are brand names, and generally my recommendation is, if you don't recognize the brand name, it is definitely not the right oil to use in your car. What I'm going to talk about today is brand names and which one works the best for our services at San Diego Mini Cooper or My Cooper Garage. My Cooper Garage uses Liquid Moly. Liquid Moly has proven to be a super oil and has worked the best for our Mini Coopers. They come back less with oil missing. They break down a lot later than other oils. Mobil One again is a super oil also. That was the one we were using prior. We have very rarely, at just the beginning of our company start off, we did start with Castrol, which was the recommended oil, and we found it to be the poorest oil of them all. As far as the BMW factory mini oil, because of the expense and the fact that it is just another Castrol in a different label, we decided not to use it. We use liquid moly, which I recommend. Our liquid mollies, the one we use at our shop is the 040, and I have had excellent results with it. The filters that we use are the factory genuine Mini Cooper filter, oil filter. It comes with a kit, which is a gasket, a O-ring, and a grommet for your drain plug, which will prevent it from leaking slowly from the drain plug. We're going to go into oil consumption. Mini Cooper oil consumption has been a serious issue with a lot of the toe-ins and breakdowns of the car. What happens most of the time, it's from customers that have been misled that the oil will last 15,000 miles. It's definitely not true. Your car cannot withstand 15,000 miles of driving without oil changes. It's definitely false, and I don't recommend you do that whatsoever. BMW invented something called the SII. And what that is basically, it is an adaptation that the BMW records itself according to your driving habits and will tell you or warn you when the oil change is due. Most of the time we realize that once that indicator does go on, it's too late, and sometimes those indicators are not on and the car already has run out of oil. If you're waiting for the oil light to light on the dash, it is too late. Your car is already empty by the time that light goes on. Generally about 1.5 quarts to 2 quarts. The car holds 4.5 liters of oil, and sometimes the light only goes on when you only have 1.5 liters or 2 liters or less on before the light is on. So my recommendation is, like every other car, 3,000 to 5,000 miles maximum, 3 months to 5 months maximum. Have the oil changes every 3,000 miles or 3 months, and you will have better results and better performance on your car. Now, mechanical failures that cause oil consumption. There are such things. One of them is, I'm going to point it to you, is in this shelf right here. It's called a PVC, or a vent valve in BMW's term. It's actually the entire valve cover. So what happens is when the PVC is malfunctioning or it is blocked, what it does is it basically doesn't allow the vacuum system to work correctly, and therefore the oil consumption is increased tremendously. So if you have a car that is using quite a bit of oil, number one, look for drains and leaks out of the engine pan, oil, like the oil pans, the valve cover, any kind of leaks. My recommendation, have those fixed. But if that doesn't take care of it and there's not enough of that to reduce it to that level, I would recommend you change the vent valve and the tube, which will increase it's a good chance that that will prevent or reduce the oil consumption tremendously. What are the things that happen when you run out of oil? And what are the indicators that you are short on oil? One of them is that your engine will run really rough, and especially at startups, cold startups, you will hear a banging noise, like a rattling noise, like something loose can underneath your hood. One of the things that causes that is, we're going to point at it over here, is your timing chain. That is your timing chain. That is a tensioner over there. It's a hydraulic tensioner, and once oil does not go into that little pee hole that is on that tensioner, the chain is not tight and it will start rattling. If that continues for a while, this plastic cartilage breaks that holds the track for the timing chain, and that causes a lot of racket. This repair is about $1,800. The tensioner is very commonly malfunctions because of lack of or poor oil changes. So you see that little pee hole there is actually supposed to travel the oil into it and to actually have hydraulic pressure so that the timing chain is held tight. Right there you can see that nail thing up there with the little pee hole on it. All right. Once that's broken, the front end of the engine is actually have to be removed, and that costs approximately about $1,800 worth of labor, and that will reduce the engine rattle tremendously, and you'll go back to normal. But again, if you do poor oil changes, you're going to have the same problem all over again. So one of the indicators of knowing you're running out of oil and the engine light is not on and the oil light's not on is startups. You'll hear a rattling noise on the engine. We're going to go back to our oil changes again, and my suggestion is 3,000 to 5,000 mile oil changes, and use a synthetic quality oil. And the weights, again, the lower the bottom number, the freezing point, and the higher the boiling point, the better the product. Have a great day. Thank you, and God bless you.